Hi, welcome to week 2. So this week we're going to take a little step forward now into the visualization side of what we're looking at. And there's a couple of reasons that visualization is important especially for data analytics. And part of that is because, one, we're trying to understand, and visualization allows us to make connections in our brain that other senses necessarily don't really do for us. And so we're going to explore that a little bit, what plotting means and what understanding and seeing relationships visually help us to sometimes understand the behavior that's happening a little better than just, seeing numbers and trying to intuit out of that. Spatial recognition is an important part of how we understand our world, and is an important part of how we understand relationships that are systemic in that world. And so when we start to dig into visualization, really what we're looking at there is how do we use and represent the data that we're seeing in a graphical format such that our brains can make better connections than we can otherwise do. So we'll be looking a little bit at that. That's very philosophical, I know, but in what we're going to be doing this course is really digging into the details of R and ggplot in particular, and how we use that tool to take the data that we're seeing and really understand what the relationships are in those data, where there are outliers, and kind of where there are trends and things along those lines. The other thing we're going to do is to at least get started on the Tableau side. So as we get into a lot of the visualization within the R framework, within the R tool set, in RStudio and such, we're also going to start to delve into Tableau. And Tableau is a tool to look at and do the analytics on data that really comes at it from the visualization side. So where R is very focused on analyzing the data at the binary level and then kind of constructing understanding from that, Tableau takes it from the visual representation and then kind of drives down toward understanding from that direction. And so by kind of combining both of these efforts, you see to get a good feel of what we're trying to accomplish in terms of really managing and manipulating the data, then also understanding the data. The other side of visualization that we're going to get into is really being able to communicate well. So when you start to talk in terms of numbers, people who are not spatial necessarily don't understand all that. But when you can represent a graph, a chart, something that shows a line that has a relationship in their mind of motion, a relationship in people's minds of change over time, those are the kinds of things that we really need to be able to do with the data, because it's one thing for us to understand where the issues are, but it's another thing for us to be able to communicate it well. And so there's a sort of iterative process that visualization allows you to do. So modeling, analytics, visualization, all of it feeds in together to basically continually build our understanding, and then as we do that, be able to communicate that understanding to those who need to make decisions based on these analysis that we do. So this week we're going to have a discussion question that really dives into a little bit of what you do at work and kind of how visualization is important in those different areas that you might need. We'll go through a lot of again, just don't waste time getting started. We've got a lot to do in R and ggplot and learning how to do all those. Kind of walk you through some exercises there. Get a little bit into what the R data science book is actually doing, and we'll transition over the next few weeks a little bit less of me walking you through some of these exercises and then kind of to where the book is. I kind of do some of that stuff specifically. And then the other thing we're going to be doing is downloading. You got to download R. Download Tableau. Make sure that we get that loaded up. And so one of the assignments is just show me that you got it on your machine. Show me that you can get to it and can start it so that we're ready for next week, because we don't want to be holding up next week's activity as well. That's it for the welcome video. So welcome to week 2, and we'll go ahead and get started.